Welcome back to U45 Morning Show, and this is the time for the front burner issue, and we're looking at violence against women, a focus on the Endsars victims. We're looking at those that actually lost properties, even lives, in the course of the violence that erupted. With us in the studio is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Today I'm going to be finding out if she is actually a women advocate. She is Elozino. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Let's start off this conversation from a very lighter note, which is your evaluation of the Endsars protest. What do you make of it?
Well, the period between, or it's even still on the fight, but when it was really active, youth on the streets and everything, the reaction of the government towards the protesters and situations that followed thereafter is it actually saddened a lot of people, because we were expecting, or a lot of people were expecting, that there will be a smooth interaction between the government and the protesters. Nobody foresaw what eventually took place and the resultant events thereafter. But I believe that it is a starting point of more change to come, because the truth is, it takes a while, but people will eventually speak for themselves. People will eventually speak for what they believe in, what should be, what they want as people, and what is expected of the government.
Okay, I do this often whenever we talk about this. Some people have said, in fact, a guest here too said that the protesters missed it. That protests are in phases. You have the mobilization stage, you have the showcase stage, and the dialogue stage. Mobilization, oh, send word around, we're going to come out on social date. Yes, they did. Showcase, now protesters are on the street, holding the states to ransom, culminating to the nation.
Yes.
The dialogue part, the school of thought of the gentleman that said that is that the protest was too long, that the protesters should have started engaging government. What do you make of that? Do you share that opinion? If not,
there is no protest that is too long if you're fighting for your rights. That's the first point. Now, given the antecedents and the history of Nigeria, it is my opinion that why dialogue didn't start in time is because the youth saw or perceived that if a section or representatives were sent to dialogue with the government, the instance or the fact that they may be the victims or they may be the scapegoats of the protest was very likely. This we can see shortly after, when about 19 persons, their bank accounts were frozen or allegedly frozen. So you can tell that even before they started protests, they already are aware of the dangers of pushing a leader forward. Because whether I like it or not, they foresaw that it is possible for any leader or leaders that are put forward for them to be used as scapegoats or for them to be compromised. So whether or not it was too long or that they didn't start early, conversations early, is a matter of opinion, because I'm sure if the government was patient enough to go through the process with the youths, eventually, most likely,
so let me
there would have been a dialogue.
No, let me interject. When you say government, the height of the protest was in Lagos.
Yes.
We saw the Lagos State governor raise the placard and police brutality.
Yes.
When he did some press briefing, he said water was thrown at him. Pebbles were thrown at him. He stayed. And that same day, he took the demand of the 5 for 5 to Mr. President.
Yes.
Is that not government engagement?
Well, to an extent, but not fully. part of the reasons why people still stayed on the streets was because of the fact that it had happened before. They have said Endsars before, 2 years, 3 years back. So it was not something that they were strange to. They knew that if they don't take it more seriously this time, it will still be the same thing over and over again. It's not enough to say we've taken your 5-point agendas, we've taken it to the highest points in the government, we are talking about it, we are doing this, we are doing that. It is actions. They wanted to see people tried live.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
You just beat one hurdle I was going to bring up. The hurdle was going to be the 505 was met, SARS was disbanded. What do you make quickly of the immediate pronouncement of SWAT in place of...
I think that was too hasty a decision, in my opinion, because when you are trying to strip a cloth off somebody and put it in that same cloth in another person, another disguise, it's the same thing. The protesters felt that, look, you didn't just do what you were supposed to do. You just changed the acronym and put the same people in a different uniform, in a different unit. You just changed the name. Because if you're saying Endsars, and just about a week or few days after, you're bringing SWAT, you've not even, it's just like they felt insulted. As a matter of fact, if you want to do something, then just give it time, give it some time. If you give it some time, it would help them to understand the fact that, oh, we are actually working. Okay. But few days or a week into the protest, you're bringing another team.
Zeno, let's talk to what you have on the screen. That's
yes.
The governor visiting some of the police stations that were burnt down. Let's get to the violence part. Do you agree that women were really involved in the entire process of the protest? I mean, the legitimate protesters,
yes.
Even into the idea of where the violence part started too.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it from that angle.
Yes.
What do you make of women involvement in the protest? First of all, I mean the original protest.
Yes, I think it was a wonderful thing that women had a very significant role to play in the protest. Significant in a good way. We heard of the feminist coalition that came together to provide support for protesters and for people that needed medical care or food as at that time. Now, they also, during the protest, you know, human nature, some women were harassed and all of that. They provided a mechanism for a situation where every woman during the protest carried a whistle. So if you felt uncomfortable, you blow the whistle. There were other stronger women in the background that supported financially, that helped to raise funds for medical care, for people that even during the protest suffered brutality.
Case in point, the one that happened along the Eteghrara road where a lady was whisked into the police
yes.
headquarters and was beaten.
Yes.
Yes. We finally saw the outcome of it, but let's not look at it in a different way. Some policemen were maimed as well in the process when it became violent. Going to the police stations, we saw footages online where policemen were killed by hoodlums. Those policemen, they have wives and children too. Mm-hmm. Let's not take it to the conversation of today. Mm-hmm. A focus on Endsars victims. We're looking at violence against women.
Yes.
Let's establish your concept of violence against women in a broader spectrum before we can trickle it down to this conversation. Okay, hold your thoughts. Let's see if we take a break. We'll take a break. When we come back, Zeno will share her thoughts with us on the matter. But of course, we're opening up the conversation for you watching us from any part of the world. Feel free. You can call our phone lines or send us a word via our WhatsApp line as well. However, we're trying to put technology into use here by bringing in someone who is actually a girl child advocate all the way from Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria, to join us via Zoom. As soon as my producers get that confirmed, she's going to join and lend her voice as well, because we're going to have a very hard talk tomorrow. It's going to be deeper. The target is to have 4 women do that discussion, but today we're starting with 2. So we'll take this quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
iReports gets even better with Super Screen TV. Stand a chance of winning recharge cards for your efforts. Send videos and accompanying description to this WhatsApp line on 0811 1776 314. Viewers can send footages of newsworthy items, breaking news, and other events and have it feature on Super Screen television. Stand a chance of winning recharge cards for your efforts. Send videos and accompanying description to this WhatsApp line on 0811 1776 314. iReports gets even better with Super Screen TV.
If you see 5 million, what you go do with that?
I go tight and well. They come out and small.
I go chop party. Everybody go know say I collect 5 million.
I go run come on Nigeria, do business.
If I go put that money on top of any business, the business goes spoil.
Super!
Screen!
Super!
Screen!
Super! Wetin make monkey like banana pass plantain?
And the truth be say, I no be monkey. To say I be monkey, I for no banana no good, plantain na good.
All of us are animals. Both monkey or human being, we are animal kingdom.
Monkey not too big, so he like banana because banana is small. If now gorilla like plantain.
E good make pikin dey eat by go school.
You good run.
No make sense at all. The pikin go to sleep for school.
I think give my pikin self, they know they select.
You have a garri for house, they have a small soup. You can make about to your pikin, go school in the morning. You come back, say, can feed chop ever.
I say super, you say screen. Super.
Skin.
And I say skin, you say skin.
Now inside Super Screen TV, it dey happen, my country people.
Hello, what is Saturday for you? For me, Saturday is for spice. Join me here every Saturday on Super Screen Television as we bring you the Super Breakfast Show, showing from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. See ya!
I got time.
Welcome back to the show, and now let's go one step forward in this conversation. But I think it's very important for us to establish even the concept of violence against women, because for United Nations, for an initiative that started since 2014, Endsars didn't happen then. But we are trying to bring that in because we figure that organizations such as the Lagos State Trust Fund is actually Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is saying we have some monies for those that their businesses were vandalized and looted. We'll get to that. We're trying to talk to them to come into the studio to actually educate the viewers on the measures, because sometimes when people see opportunity to get grants, Nigerians tend to retract for some reasons. The trust issue around what government says and government doesn't do, and other matters. But of course, feel free to join the conversation. You can look at it from the Endsars angle or directly on violence against women. Zeno here in the studio will take us through her thought about violence against women. Many thanks for staying true. Let's get to the matter. What's your perception about violence against women?
Violence against women is violence done. It can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be through different other means. But violence against women just simply means a wrong, physical, emotional, as the case may be, done to a woman or a young girl.
Okay.
Now, there are different laws that, both international and local, that protects domestic violence against persons.
Okay.
Specifically, domestic violence against persons. So it can either be a man or a woman. But we all know that women are more of the victims when it comes to violence, unfortunately, because they are seen as the weaker vessels. So by that fact, they are preyed upon by our male counterparts, which ordinarily shouldn't be, but that's how our society have over time, even aided or in a way subtly supported the violence against women. Because there are a lot of things that we have come to overlook in the society, come to overlook when it happens to a woman. For example, if a woman who is married to a man or even cohabiting with a man is preyed upon, abused physically, emotionally, or as the case may be, and she walks into a police station to report the matter to the police, the first thing the police will tell you is that it's a domestic affair, go and settle your issue. Even if the woman comes into the police station with a black eye or with no eyes at all, they'll say, try and settle with him, try and settle with him. So over time, a lot of women have died in the process of trying to endure a bad relationship, which ordinarily is not supposed to be. If women are protected properly, or if our society establish this cause of protection, this sense of protection in everybody, including our men, it would naturally flow, because it's so bad, it is so bad that even the younger ones coming up do not know the extent. They feel it is okay to abuse a woman. They feel it's okay to slap a woman. They feel it's okay to cause emotional torture to a woman. So it starts from, it's like a ripple effect. It's like a ripple effect. If a man doesn't know how to take care of his wife, or be good to his wife, or he doesn't know any other thing but to be violent to his wife, his male child is looking at him. That is only the thing he knows, because he feels it's okay for daddy to do it, why can't I do it?
Okay, that's a very good one you've established. Let's now look at it from the fact that United Nations can have this in her calendar as an annual event where attention is given to actually sort the issues around violence against women.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
The United Nations have been an advocate of violence against women for quite a while. There was a treaty some time ago that required countries to, treaties are treaties and only can be domesticated, for example, in Nigeria, through legislations. But you see, the United Nations saw reasons, because it is global, unfortunately so, but it is global. Violence against women have been on for so long a time, so long a time, that it has become so normal to everybody. So therefore, the United Nations came together to say, okay, somebody needs to speak about this. Something needs to happen. Some change needs to happen. Because the more you keep victimizing women, they are the bedrock of the nation. They are the bedrock of the family. So if a woman feels victimized all the time, she will not blossom as a woman. That is just the truth. So it is a very, very brilliant idea that United Nations are pushing towards. But you see, they can only do so much, as a matter of fact.
And that's what was doing our own.
Yes, they can only do so much. So it behoves us to push the agenda forward, to make the government or the people or the society become more responsible and more aware of what is happening outside the country, and let change gradually begin to happen.
Interesting. Thanks for establishing that. Let's come to something that is actually bothering me. I made reference to women during the Endsars protest.
Yes.
When the violence erupted, we know how it is. Women lost bags, things were snatched, because the protective level for them is not as that of a man.
Yes.
What's your evaluation of how things went that particular period? I don't know if you had any personal experience, but even from a distance, if you conjecture what could have happened, because when the violence erupted, people started running, catching vehicle, you need to get home. What do you make of that? And of course, you have a woman that is championing a lot.
As a matter of fact, I almost, in fact, I can just imagine how it would have felt. That particular day, I had to leave the office. That was on the 19th of October.
Okay.
There were already signs that it was going to get violent because as at that time, we were hearing of police station being burnt down at Orile and all of that. So there was already tension in the air. So I could just imagine how I felt. In fact, I was literally shaking. I just needed to get home. So I can imagine my own was if I get caught in public, there is no thinking what would happen to me, because unfortunately we are more vulnerable than the men. We can't carry stick and start hitting or run the way a man will run, or even if we hide, we think we are hiding with people that should protect us. They just might be the one that will end up raping us. So the experience was quite traumatic, quite traumatic, because as we were moving along the way, we could see violence erupting left and right. We are praying that let's just pass this place. If we don't pass this place and they stop us, no, we don't know what's going to happen. It was
even when you're driving, you're still tense because your vehicle could be
anything could happen.
Pebbles could come.
Anything could happen. So, I mean, I can just imagine what a man would have been going through at that point, times 2 for a woman.
Okay, let's look at businesses that were vandalized. You must have seen pictures.
Of course.
Saw videos. From a legal standpoint, you're not an insurer, but I'm going to ask you some question around that. First of all, when you saw the footages of business vandalized, according to NECA, it was running to, I had that start earlier, billions in Nigeria, because of that particular situation. Let's have your evaluation of that period, the businesses that were vandalized and looted.
It was quite an unfortunate situation, as a matter of fact, because, I mean, for women that had businesses around these areas that were vandalized, it is not something, you just look at, you're just watching the TV and you're saying, for example, your store or your office being vandalized, and you, in your very eye, things are happening, you're losing properties, you're losing a lot of goods. It is a loss that it would take a while for them to recover from.
Why I'm saying this is because of the already harsh economic realities.
Yes, as a matter of fact. I mean, we just left COVID lockdown, and people were trying to still find themselves. And then in the space of months, they were just trying to say, okay, let's see how the year goes and how it's going to end. Boom, we have another violence. And then it's so difficult to recover, because in this harsh economy, how are you going to find your footing? But luckily or happily, Lagos State has said, they were going to this. They have set up a fund to say they're going to address some of these issues. But the truth is, there's so much that they can do, as a matter of fact.
Let's take it to the discovery of the palliative warehouses. Why are you smiling?
Oh my God!
Seriously, it's on the screen.
Yes, I can see it.
So I call it discovery.
Yes,
for a reason.
Yes, it was quite a discovery, as a matter of fact.
So let's have your evaluation. First of all, is the fact that these palliatives were meant for the citizens. Second point, citizens never knew this kind of reservoir exists.
As a matter of fact.
Thirdly, citizens discovered, looted. Fourthly, the government went picking up the citizens, and some of them have returned. Even as of yesterday, some citizens that returned theirs apologized to and begged for forgiveness.
Of course.
Let's have your total evaluation from the start of why the palliatives are even at the end.
Well, it was quite shocking for a lot of people to find out that this kind of thing existed somewhere, and people actually starved during
the lockdown.
So it's something that we could not take in, almost immediately. And then we saw that, first of all, I do not support the fact that it was looted. As a matter of fact, that is in itself a crime.
Okay.
As a matter of fact. But, there is a reason for everything. Why I do not support the fact that they looted or they stormed into the warehouse and all of those facts. People are hungry. A lot of women could not feed their children. I saw a picture of a woman no, she was actually doing a video of stacked up palliative in her house. And this is going to take me till next year. That's what she said.
Seriously?
Of course.
She must have gotten enough.
I don't know how she she managed that feat, but it was quite high in her room, and she was laughing that, yes, I've gotten my own share from the government. But you see, you know, it shouldn't even get to this stage if things are properly put in place.
Are you aware of the statutory role of the coalition against COVID? I mean the COVID.
Yes.
Made up of the private sector
yes.
and of course the government just to play a supervisory role.
Yes. So it's you know, it would have been expected that when this palliative were handed over to the government, so to speak, that they would, you know, start early enough.
Distribution?
Yes, distribution, because later on they came to say that they were still going to, they've not gotten around to doing that and all of that. When it came out that there was such thing, you know, stored away, their own perspective is, oh, we're still going to share it. We are not gotten around to sharing it, but it's not like we're not going to do it. All of that.
There's another part that says it's actually for the second wave of COVID. I don't know if you heard about that.
It's quite funny. The first wave of COVID, people have not even gotten over it. And you're preparing for the... People didn't even get palliative during the first wave. It's different when you say a lot of people got palliative during the first wave. Someone around my area, during the lockdown, people were rushing to go and, you know, write their name of some sort. And I overheard the woman saying that, look, I stood under the sun for several hours just to get to put my name down. And they were assuming that when they put their name down, they were going to get something. Unfortunately, it's not until this protest that we got to know that those things they were supposed to share that time was just in front of them, inside the warehouse. So for that woman, she never got anything. But you see, allegedly, it was claimed that those lists that were written down, it was assumed that those people that wrote their names got palliative.
So that has been used to make a presentation,
exactly. So for probably people that were in charge to share, or people that were in charge to receive the information or the feedback, to them, probably, the palliatives were shared. Because they saw a list of people, assumably, that was giving the palliative.
You know, I want to take you on something, because this is a very calm chat. We can take phone calls, like we've said. So if you call the line to lend your voice, we're going to engage you in that. Just keep it nice and slow, straight to the point. The numbers are there for you to call. Let's come to the part that on the Endsars, a House of Representative member said, a female now, in their Nwaogboh, actually said most of the Nigerians that protested are high on drugs. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Then second, there was another, I don't know if it's the same person, another female rep that used palliative for her birthday. I don't know if you saw that too.
I heard about that.
Let's get your thought about this two part of it.
It was established from the onset that the youths, it was a peaceful protest. They never did anything to vandalize government properties. In fact, a lot of the mixed crowd that was there that day was, most of them, unfortunately not. I wish that I could, but unfortunately not. But most of them, I followed the story very closely, and most of the people that actually protested were professionals. They were educated. So a lot of people that thought that most of them were on drugs, absolutely not. A good number of them were doctors, were lawyers, were you know, fashion designers, were professional. They were well-read students. They were not hoodlums. They were not uneducated. They knew what they wanted. And they were committed to that cause until it was hijacked. So to say that they were high on drugs, that is just a way of making them look bad, to my opinion. That was just a way of making them look bad. Because it was organized to an extent. if we want to argue that they were not so organized, but it was organized to an extent.
Because there was no police support to protect, and at the point, the protesters got their own security.
Exactly. They got their medical doctors. They
doctors.
got everything in place. They supplied themselves food. They were so organized to the extent that they kicked against violence because they knew fully well that it would turn around to, backfire if any one of them, turned into violence. Okay. So they were conscious of that fact. And for the 1 week that they were on the streets, they maintained it. It's different.
Did you see the schedules?
Yes, it is different when they just come and they are raising placards and they are just... No, they were coordinated. There was always a briefing. There was always a briefing. Tomorrow, this is what we are going to do. This is who is going to do what. This is who is going to do what.
Let's get to the celebrity part of it. Look at celebrities on the screen. How do you see the female celebrities, the likes of Tiwa Savage, even though they are part of those that the petition? We're going to come to the petition from government very soon. Tiwa Savage, actresses getting on board. How do you see that as women supporting a just cause?
It is something that, it is worth emulating. If we don't have them support this kind of just cause, what else would they be supporting as female celebrities? It was quite moving that they learnt their voice, because at the end of the day, it is for everybody. It's for Nigerians. It's for everybody. The protesters were trying to bring up issues that were prevalent. Like, it became more glaring, as a matter of fact. And at the end of the day, women, we realize that, look, it is not only our men that are brutalized, we are brutalized as well. So if we sit back to say we are not going to lend our voice, then we are in effect harming ourselves.
Okay, let's see. Let's take one more on the part of because women is the interest for us here.
Yes.
I mentioned Tiwa Savage as one of the females.
Yes.
Let's get to the petition now, proper. Using the Lekki Tollgate saga, bringing that into context. What do you make of the inconsistency in statements from government and, of course, other stakeholders in the process? You just took a pause.
Yes, I had to take that pause because, it has been very, very, very funny and disturbing, as a matter of fact, because just like somebody rightly said when you read earlier in the papers, only transparency and remorse can actually heal. The thing is, the youths are waiting patiently. The truth will eventually come out. That is all what everybody's saying.
Are you looking at because of the intervention of international community, ICC?
Well, partly and partly not. Now, the sad part is the government keeps changing the story. That's actually sad. It gives the impression that the people that you are governing don't have any sense. They can't understand what is going on. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
If they came out from it's very difficult to admit one's faults, even for human beings.
Zeno, let me bring this up so that we can use this to actually drive this conversation forward.
Yes.
Especially for the fact that we have such photos like that of the governor of Lagos State and, of course, the president.
Yes.
This was used last week. It
Yes.
says, fear them when you see them anywhere. Army, we were not at the Lekki Tollgate. Governor of Lagos State, Army was not at Lekki Tollgate. Army, we were there, but we didn't shoot at protesters. Lagos State government, protesters were shot at, but only got injured. No casualties. Army, the governor invited us to the Lekki Tollgate. Lagos State government, I don't have the power to order soldiers to Lekki. Army, we shot only blank bullets. Nobody died. Lagos State government, 2 people were killed at the tollgate. Malami, that's the Attorney General of the Federation, hoodlums wearing army uniforms shot protesters at Lekki Tollgate, not Army. Army, we were highly disappointed on Lagos State government for being a coward and saying they didn't invite us to Lekki, and also saying 2 people died. Which of them gets your attention?
All of them, as a matter of fact. It's just a trend, one trend after the other. The first one you deny, the second one you try to admit partly, and, you know, of course, if 2 people connive to do something and the other one is denying by default, the second person that you connive to...
Do you feel bad that as big as Nigeria is, there is no documentary presented by the Nigerian media to say this is our own part of the story for the Endsars, until we have an international cable network like CNN coming on board and getting a documentary of our own story? How does it feel?
It's quite a sad situation, because I recall, and it's even on the internet, that some TV stations that try to follow the events step by step using feeds online were sanctioned. So, I mean, for other TV stations, they will just take a cue and be quiet about it. A lot of TV stations didn't actually talk about it because of the fear of sanctions. We could tell thereafter what the government did to those stations that
yes,
you know,
you have
followed
5 million
yes, that followed the story consistently. In fact, Arise was updating stories after stories. They were on ground, they were updating, and they still got a fine because of the fact that it was alleged that they used unverified source too. But I followed Arise News, and they were always following it at every step of. They had somebody on ground. So it begs the question of which source were unverified, because they were live at every event that occurred. But you know, sadly, the media in the country, the TV stations and all of that, they are controlled. They are controlled in such a way that, you know, if they do something that does not, quote and unquote, please the government, they are sanctioned. But 5
million naira could do a lot for a media organization battling the whole post-COVID challenges and the rest.
Yes.
So people were like, okay, so why don't we discuss other matters? But we're trying our bits to make sure we keep our ears and, of course, our cameras on the story. Because it will be a disservice to the public to just jettison the entire process of Endsars.
Absolutely. I mean, if you see, it was quite a, how do I put it now? Should I say sad, but for want of better words, to see a foreign media pick up the story from start to finish and show a very short but, you know, quite enlightening footage of what happened, which we have, the government has allegedly denied that it's untrue. But you see, if it was a media station in Nigeria that did that, I'm sure the fine would be more than 5 million and climbing up.
Okay, we see how that particular one works. I'm not really bothered about a lot of things, but of course it will be important for us to actually take the final break for Elozino, because it's quite important she catch up with other things. We'll do that when we come back. Let's find out how we take this conversation to the next phase. Do join us again.
Education refers to the process whereby a child or adult develops the ability, attitude, and other forms of behavior which are of positive value to the society in which he or she lives. Education beyond walls, a new narrative. I am Taiwo Ololade Salvador, your anchor. Join me on Super Screen Television every Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. Be kind to one another.
iReports gets even better with Super Screen TV. Stand a chance of winning recharge cards for your efforts. Send videos and accompanying description to this WhatsApp line on 0811 1776 314. Viewers can send footages of newsworthy items, breaking news, and other events and have it feature on Super Screen television. Stand a chance of winning recharge cards for your efforts. Send videos and accompanying description to this WhatsApp line on 0811 1776 314. iReports gets even better with Super Screen TV.
If you see 5 million, what you go do with that?
I go tight and well. They come out and small.
I go throw party. Everybody go know say I collect 5 million.
I go run come on Nigeria, do business.
If I go put that money on top of any business, the business goes spoil.
Super!
Screen!
Super!
Screen!
Super! Wetin make monkey like banana pass plantain?
And the truth be say, I no be monkey. To say I be monkey, I for no banana no good, plantain na good.
All of us are animals. Both monkey or human being, we are animal kingdom.
Monkey not too big, so he like banana because banana is small. If now gorilla like plantain.
E good make pikin dey eat by go school.
E good well.
No make sense at all. The pikin go dey sleep for school.
I fit give my pikin sef dem no dey select.
She have a garri for house, they have a small soup. They can make about to your pikin, go school in the morning. They come back say can fit chop ever.
I say super, you say screen. Super.
Skin.
And I say skin, you say skin.
Now inside Super Screen TV, it dey happen, my country people.
Hello, what is Saturday for you? For me, Saturday is for spice. Join me here every Saturday on Super Screen Television as we bring you the Super Breakfast Show, showing from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. See ya!
I got time.
welcome back to the wrap-up part. I was finding it a little bit technically difficult to bring our guests into the studio via the virtual platform. But why we put a final touch to that, let's take Zeno's final thoughts on the whole process for violence against women. Are you a woman advocate?
Yes, I am.
So what part of it do you champion? Domestic violence, emancipation in business, more presence in boardroom. The last one sounds like what resonates with you. Which of them?
No, all of them as a matter of fact. But what concerns me more is the domestic violence. You see, a lot of women actually suffer domestic violence that is not recorded. We don't get to hear about it. But you see, if you take a statistics of the level of violence against women, you'll be alarmed at the rate. I read yesterday somewhere where a girl was raped twice. The second time she didn't survive it. The first one, the man was reprimanded, told not to do it again. That's just it.
When you say the man, is he a relative? Do you know?
No, not a relative. Probably a neighbor or something. The story wasn't quite clear, but I read the part where it came out recently because she died of the injuries sustained.
I apologize. Let's take Felix quickly from Ajigule. Felix, good morning.
Yes, this is my contribution. First of all, I want to commend your guest. She's doing well. I give kudos to her. Secondly, about the Endsars protest.
Okay.
The girls are our heroes. Even army guys, but I support the women. My first hero there is outside Yusuf. See outside them. Even the more practicable than guys. And look at the switch as well.
Felix,
these people are girls. Sir?
If you can hear me, I think you're very close to the mouthpiece.
Okay, I said that those girls are the best one. We have to support them. Yeah, secondly, about the Lekki shooting, about the sanctioning of TV in Nigeria. Don't let us forget that those channels or those TV are the ones that show us that they are burning Orile station. That one is not fake news. Laila Mohammed is not there. They are burning boss at Oyibo. Laila Mohammed is not there. Those are the channels that show us that they are burning, and it is correct. And it is correct. Why is it that when it comes to Lekki, they say it is fake news? Why? Why is it that we don't have truth? Who do we offend? This shooting is up to a month now. We didn't see anything. The army said we went to Lekki with blank bullets, no life. Later on Saturday, they said we are there, but we don't want to protect ourselves. For what now? For what? And this youth are not lying.
Okay, so I think we lost it. Was a little bit distorted there. Yes. Felix, if I take away your points, two things I got was a part of the fake news from the government that is not coherent. Government is saying most of the stories that got out were fake news, and of course, government is not proactive in responding to the situation. Thanks for calling, Felix. I wish we actually had clarity of everything you've said. So you were holding a thought on violence against women directly, and you were making a reference to a story where someone raped a girl twice. Yes. The first one, he was reprimanded. The second one, the girl didn't make it.
Yes.
Did you get the bottom line of that story?
Yes, unfortunately, the guy was apprehended the second time, but you see, somebody has lost her life in the process. You didn't only rape her, you beat her on top of it and threw her into a place where her spinal cord got broken. So she was actually hospitalized because of that spinal cord, and she couldn't make it. She died of it.
It's something we're going to pick up subsequently for want of time. I like to do what you want to do today. This is a very good topic that we can actually raise, because most times when the perpetrators finish the act, they want to hide their sins.
Yes.
And it leads to murder in most cases.
As a matter of fact, sadly so, but because in fact now is the time, and ever so, that we should become more conscious of the violence against women. It is not actually funny. It's not funny because a lot of women are living with scars. emotional scars. Some of them cannot recover from the emotional effects. Sadly, the fact that most women that suffer violence, it's from somebody they know. It's either an uncle or a spouse or an ex or, you know, all of that. And so I would not say it's different, the emotional state is different when it is a stranger. It's equally as bad, but it's even more traumatic when it is somebody that you know that does that violence to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Elozino, for actually joining us today on the program. We're allowed to do a couple of things today. As a lawyer, of course, he has targets to meet officially. So once again, we thank you for joining us. Let's do some more. Let's look at more intricate issues around it. Many thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's where we let her go. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's see if the technology is ready to give us our virtual participants for today. You get us again.
Calls are already coming in.